Aloha everyone, Joshua Hayes at BigWaveTrading.com. Stock staged a decent intraday reversal, but with the lack of higher volume than the session before, along with a higher day close, it's hard to say that this is anything but day one of a bounce attempt in the S&P 500, Dow Jones Industrial Average. Can't even really say that with the NASDAQ with it being lower on the day, but the NASDAQ was 100 was up. So we'll consider that day one of a bounce attempt. And then the Russell 2000, it was lower today, but the intraday tail following yesterday's tail gives some signs of hope here at the 50-day moving average for the bulls that the market can rally higher. Now, once again, despite the tape being the way the tape is and being tough on end-of-day positions, this morning, my SPY option trade of the day, April 27th, 262. Immediate head and shoulder pattern right out of the gate within the first couple of minutes from the pre-market to the opening bell. Bought those puts, sold half with a 50% gain within the first right around 15-20 minutes. I then held the second half into the end of the day. Always sell it before the final hour, as options that have less than a week to expiration always have theta destroy them in the final hour. Whenever the market started to rally above its morning highs, I was knocked out of all of that for a 10% loss on that position, leaving me with a total gain on the entire position of right around 40%, despite a day where the S&P 500 basically went nowhere, finishing up 0.25%. So just remember, even though the market on an end-of-day basis isn't entirely friendly to every stock that we buy intraday, there is some juice still on the put side. Now, with that being said, it does look like that we could build on a bounce here as futures are higher after hours, but I'm now in the camp to where I don't even trust any rally attempt, and I believe any rally attempt in this market's going to fail. I have a feeling, though, maybe I'm contrarian, and the mere fact that now I have no more faith that my long positions are telling the truth and that the market is stronger than it actually looks on the outside. I now believe that the market is weaker than my strong small cap stocks look, and that my strong small cap stocks could easily roll over and join this market if we move lower. But being a contrarian nature, if I go the opposite of what I think, then that means I'm just obeying my signals. And if that's the case, we actually have quite a few heading into Thursday. ABMD, THC, LGCY, LLNW, REDU, SYX add. Now, none of these things are that great, but you can see with SYX the long-term trend is higher. REDU, the long-term trend is higher. LLNW, it's higher. LGCY, extremely strong. THC, it's higher. ABMD, it's higher. And my point of all that is these stocks all have the same question. What bear market? What downtrend? What choppy market? These stocks are extremely strong. They have some pretty good patterns. So let's say the market does decide to bounce here. I can guarantee you all the recent long positions that I've taken, including this round, these stocks are going to outperform the market if the market decides to move higher. And God willing, let's say the market actually rallies and decides to hit new highs. I assume some of these stocks with the elevated VIX will be able to get 50% to 100% returns in some of these names that we're getting long. But the market has to rally. If it doesn't rally, it doesn't matter. And let's not forget, we're about to enter the seasonally very poor month of May. May is a very, very weak month. Very, very poor returns for the month of May historically for the stock market. So if this is how the market is trading in March and April, like I keep saying, let's see how it does in May. But let's say it gets better, then it's a good place to start. ABMD, new long position. Cancel quality, perfect speculator quality, confirming my price volume Bob scan. 2% of my account capital. Limit order, the high of the day, 294.26. First cut loss level, right there. Move below 277.01. And my final cut loss level, since this low here to then this little basically reset of a support area, resistance right here becomes support. My final stop will be at 273.17. I don't know if this thing has had dividends or anything, but I'll have to check on stockcharts.com just to make sure that's the correct level. But no matter what, the 3.5 low a day will be my final stop on ABMD. THC. This came from my Perfect Speculator scan. Very familiar with this stock. THC, this is a very, very nice flat base that it is currently forming. Heavier volume than the session before. BOP is moving in the right direction. Basically a little engulfing candle here on a closing and opening basis from the session before. Want to get long 1% of my account capital since it's only a Perfect Speculator quality stock. Probably a future CanSlim quality stock based on the direction that earnings are changing and then the current sales growth. Limit order 24.57, the high of the day. First cut loss 23.33, and then once again the 23.33, excuse me, right here. Sorry, it's actually right there. 23.33. So there's my first cut loss because it's splitting hairs between that low and this low. And then my final cut loss is going to be this low, but once again, that resetting old resistance becomes new support. So just like ABMD with THC, my final stop will be with that old resistance is new support. Final stop 22.33. So 23.33, 22.33, my two stop levels for THC. Then the next batch, they're all extended. LLNW, earnings winner, extended. SYX, this is an add / buyback signal. It's extended. LGCY, a hot oil name that I was thinking about getting short here. How you know you have a strong stock is whenever it gives a pretty good reversal shorting bar, it just blows right past it without selling off at all. Now LGCY is pulling back with a pocket pivot point signal with heavier BOP. So I want to get long LGCY. It was from my Perfect Speculator scan. 0.5% of my account capital. Limit order 579. If you go long this name, I recommend you only use this level right here, 541, and move below today's low a day as your only stop. But me, that level, this level at 479 and 410 will be my initial stops. And like all extended names, this thing doesn't move up higher immediately, starts to reverse it all, especially on heavier volume or losing its green BOP catalyst. I'll be moving all of my stops higher. Not going to give this stock room to work if it loses its catalyst, and that's its price and BOP and volume pattern. LLNW, earnings winner, Perfect Speculator quality. It is now also CanSlim quality following its most recent earnings report. Want to get long? 501. Limit order is the close. First stop, 479, this low here. Second stop, 463. And my final stop, the gap fill at 436 on LLNW. This will be 0.75% of my account capital as its Perfect Speculator CanSlim slashed in half for being extended. And then Red U, explosive earnings and sales growth in the most recent quarter. Definitely a future CanSlim quality stock. It's already in my CanSlim scan because of the earnings and sales growth in the most recent quarters, but it's also obviously an IPO new issue. I consider all stocks that have not yet traded 200 days to be quote IPOs, which means they get preference for long positions because the hot IPOs, when they move, they can really move. Hence this one being up over 60% from its lows. Hoping Red U can do that again. So when I get long Red U, 0.75% of my account capital, would normally be 1.5, but it's extended. Limit order 1645. And then the support levels I'm using, I think it's going to be right here, 1508. Then I'm going to use 1451, and my final one will be at 1411. So I'm going to have 3 initial stop levels. Same thing applies to all extended names. Doesn't move higher immediately. Start to raise those stops. And then the final signal, SYX, is an add signal, bouncing off its 50-day moving average. Nice longer-term uptrend. Yeah, you can go back further to the March lows. So this is a pretty coiled up stock. Want to get long or add at $30.14, the close. First cut loss level right there, $29.49. Final cut loss level, $27.67. This is a Perfect Speculator CanSlim stock. It's an add and it's extended, so only 0.5% of my account capital. And then only have time to go over the 2 full sell signals. SUPV, this is very clear cut. The initial long signal was right here. There was an add signal here, so overall in the position, whenever my stops hit today, crashing below the February low, I actually left with a loss, but on an end-of-day basis, splitting the 2 stops in half, you'll still be leaving with a 1% gain. But SUPV, is rolling over below the March and February lows, rolling over below its 50-day moving average on above average volume. This bar right here on the heavier volume and this bar right here on the heavier volume makes this a confirmation close below the 50-day moving average on above average volume, especially with BOP going negative. I am all out of SUPV, but if you're still long SUPV, your final stop must go right below 2671 at 2670. On an end-of-day basis, you just day, market order, sell. And CTG, day, market order, sell. If you trade on an end-of-day basis, I was knocked out of all of my stops except for I did have one very loose final stop here. I think I had like 6 or 5 stops there. They all got hit, but this one at 752. So if it would have lost green BOP today, I would move all of my stops to today's low day. But for now, what I'll do is have half below 765 at 764 and the final half at 751. But on an end-of-day basis, it's sell, day, market, execute at the opening bell. But CTG, by closing below these lows right here, makes it a full sell signal on an end-of-day basis. But because it sells its green BOP, I was still using the overall lows of this entire basing consolidation period. Following the way it was just acting a few days ago, definitely did not expect this, but that's the kind of market we're in. That's why I keep tight stops. Had quite a few stops go off today, almost 40 in total. Remember, I'm tracking long still 200 plus names that are trending higher, just like CTG was before today, just like stocks like UVER, BPOPR, EBIO, DEN. I have too many stocks that still look like this, and as long as that's the case, it's going to be really hard to, get too bearish anytime soon. But as long as the market is like it is, I'm going to keep, every time a stock moves up, I'm just going to split my stops up. So I might start off with 2 stops on 100 shares, 50 at each level, and if the stock just slowly moves up like what stock was doing that? Boot, like Boot right now. Every time Boot moves up a little bit, I raise the stop. So whenever I first went long, I had a stop here and a stop here. Maybe I had 3 here. 1, 2, 3. Well, now I placed one here. I have one here. I have one here. And after today, I'm putting one below this low here. And that's the way I operate in a market that isn't strong. When the market strengthens, or if it does and starts to move higher, then I can widen out the stops, give the stocks more room to work, and increase size on new long positions. Until then, my SPY trades of the day, my SPY put options, not really the call options. Once the market turns higher, maybe, but they never really have as much juice as the puts. So the puts in choppy and downtrending markets are where the focus is. But as long as they're moving, that'll be my focus, not on the end of day side. But if the market can follow through with some gains tomorrow, and hopefully at some point tomorrow or whenever take out yesterday's high day, then I'll definitely look to start increasing size on an end of day basis. All right, everyone, I'll see you in the chat room. Aloha.